Hello and welcome to another, well, no, not to another. Welcome to a brand new FHM 7 stream. My name is Adam. I'm the community manager of Franchise Hockey, and with me, as always, not pictured on your screen, is FHM producer Jeff. Say hi, Jeff.
Hey, everybody.
And we are here today to talk more about Franchise Hockey Manager 7. Jeff, the game comes out in less than a week, and
Yep.
people want to know more.
Next Wednesday, 6 a.m. Pacific time, at least on Steam. I'm not sure what the Fast Spring version will be if they're coming out at the same time, but Steam is 6 PF, 6 Pacific. Okay, so I think we're probably going to cut this a little bit shorter than we had intended, but I think we're going to keep it kind of fairly informal. I've got about 3 saves here I think I want to show you. So obviously, new start screen, nothing wildly different there. Seattle logo's in there now. You can still import previous saves as usual. Let's see, anything else we've done differently on there? Nope, I think this is pretty much the same. So,
Jeff, I know we had one question on our forums today. Somebody asked, is importing the same as it was in FHM 6?
yep, pretty much. Basically, just import your save and put your save in the FHM folder, click import, and that'll do it.
The question was, does it still have to be on July 1st?
Yeah, it still does.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to show off a couple of the new things to begin with here. Let's see. So I've got this game, this historical game, September 1972. So the two things we can show here, a couple of the big additions to FHM 7. Oops, grabbed the wrong tournament. The 1972 Summit Series, Canada and Russia. Canada and Soviet Union, sorry. And this is game one, which in real life, Canada lost 7-3, huge embarrassment, national scandal and all that.
They were not ready for the speed of the Soviets.
And actually, surprisingly, in this one, I was expecting Trechak to be in goal for Russia. Trechak is only, I think, 20 or 21 at this point. So they're starting the other goalie, Alexander Pashkov, so that may help Canada out a bit. You can see we've cleaned up the pregame notes area a little bit. That doesn't tend to run together as much as it did before. There's some nice, better line breaks and whatnot, but I think I still want to do a little bit more with this screen at some point. But main event here. And there you can see this is the new 2D engine that we've been working on for pretty much constantly last year or so. Well, back beyond that. I mean, the roots of it go back farther than that. And you can see if you take a quick look at the lineups here for the international games, you can set your own lineup. You don't have to use the historical one. So there's a few differences. Bobby Orr, obviously healthy, and this one was out with an injury in the real series. Actually, I think this is mostly the same. Probably.
I see one guy who's definitely wasn't on that team.
Which one?
A Hull.
That's Dennis All.
Was it? Oh,
Nope.
number 10
Nope.
turned
It's set. This is set so they don't use the WHA players, which was what
Okay.
they did in real life. So Bobby isn't in this one.
Well, that's what I thought, but I didn't know if your save was from earlier or not.
No. And Dave
Fair.
Keon, another one who wouldn't be in. We got a couple of guys who weren't in there historical: Jim McKinney, Dick Redmond, and the Russian lineup. Pretty close to accurate. Kharlamov is the big star there. But let's get rolling. And oops, let me
No,
mute the sound.
someone
It,
said.
it tends to be a little bit deafening on streams for some reason. But trust me, there is sound there. You heard the crowd at the beginning of that.
Uh,
And here we go. Let's pretty much see it as there. Dump in by the Russians.
oh, yeah, somebody points out, and Jeff, how many guys can you add to your team roster? I guess for the 72 Summit Series.
4, 7, 10, 13, 16. I think I've got set at 22. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, the real Canadian roster had, what was it, close to like 30 guys, I think.
25, but it wasn't a set thing. A lot of the guys left partway through. anyhow,
Yeah.
but what I did here, I just stopped it, and when that happens, you get this player stats screen up. If you want to check out the stats for a quick second, you can hide that if you want to see. Go back to the ice and see what's going on there. But yeah, Russians in white, Canada in red.
Low ball says, let's get some miracle on ice action. Well,
Yeah,
good news. You
we can do
can
that too. There's
replay
the 80 games in it, although we'd have to sim halfway through the year to get up to the 1980 Olympics.
and then still hope you can actually pull off it as well.
And
Uh,
almost half partial breakaway for the Russians there. Or no, that was Canada.
Libator Kid in the chat wants to know if you can set the curve of your stick so you can make sure Marty McSorley isn't in charge of making sure your stick is legal.
I think we actually there did I leave that in? I think there is a stick file like it's super rare, but I think we actually you can't get penalized for an illegal stick.
I mean, it was definitely a penalty that happened.
Yeah, I
And
redid a lot of the penalty stuff for. Well, I mean, we did pretty much everything for the new engine, but we borrowed one or two. Ow, beat him to the outside there. But we there's a we kept a couple of things like just the way face off works, the way a face off is decided. We didn't need to reinvent all of that code, but penalties got rewritten, and there we can see Dick Redmond takes a penalty on Canada. We still get the old pop up menu. Ref making the call, and I think I'm just going to sim through the rest of this just to give you an idea of what the speed is like, because we can always go on to another game and show you that. But
see some
click
more
sim in if you want to go to the end of the game, and boom, it's not quite as fast as the old engine, which makes it a little impractical for doing. Well, I'll show you that in a second. Actually, I won't say anything about that yet. But end game and shot total's a little over. Keep in mind that this is still a beta build, and we've been tweaking a lot of things today, so I think the shot numbers are a little lower than they would be normally. And your standard box score at the end of it. But thing I was mentioning here, in the setup options, you've got two options here. When you can choose whichever version of the engine you want for simulating. So with the classic, the old one, which produces slightly better stats right now and goes a lot faster, I've got it set to that. So if I just simmed a game, it would zoom through that in a fraction of a second. If I set it to 2D, it'll take. I haven't timed it today. It was probably about 2 seconds on my system the last time I checked. So if you do a full NHL season, I think it took me yesterday, I think I did 2018, 2019 as a test, and that took me a shade over 30 minutes. So unless you've got a really high-end system, you're probably going to want to leave the simulating on the classic faster option, so you can get through that, and then just when you actually want to view a game, you got the 2D engine, you can view the whole thing, and if you want to get through it quickly at the end, you can just click to sim to end like I did, and boom, you're at the end of it.
a couple of things from the chat.
Yep.
Rocket J61 asks, can you coach college teams in FHM 7?
Nope, not yet. I want to get college in at some point, but there's some big database challenges. There we go. Before we do that, and
I
what
was
the other
thinking
problem? It's also having that many teams in the game. We want to deal with some speed issues on roster handling and whatnot before we make a big addition like that. Because if you do American college hockey, you kind of have to do Canadian Junior A too to support it. So that will probably all come as one big group, but we need to make some speed changes in the game before that happens. But you can see the other international options that are in right now. The Canada Cups, that'll come up in 76, 80, 87, 90. I think I got the years right there. Olympics, every year of the Olympics. And this, what we're in right now, the Summit Series, this is the 72 one. And then you can also play in 1974 when the WHA version of the Summit Series comes up, you can play the Soviets against the WHA team, which will have Hull on it, but will be a lot more one-sided.
Well, I was going to say, with regards to college, I don't know. I'm going to guess somebody's probably going to play around with the new custom games and see if they can make a
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
college fictional game, which I look forward to seeing someone do that.
And
Another
another
question
thing I
in
can
the chat.
show you here, if I think, well, it'll actually look better in the new screen. This is what the new screen looks like now, but I've got a better save to show you that in. But you can see if I've got the old sim engine on, how incredibly fast it moves, and it's gonna go as fast as it ever was. And I think it'd actually be slightly faster this year. We cleaned up a couple of smaller things.
Okay, so Jeff, another question from the chat. Log Aids says, "Is there any plans to bring national teams to custom leagues?"
That's well, it's not an FHN 7, but I think it's probably one or maybe two versions away. I think I've got an idea how I want to handle it. Now, there's problems with custom leagues with player generation. Like national teams may not have of enough of a player pool to draw from, so we kind of have to compensate for that. But you see, there we go. It's a couple of minutes, and got us right to January 1st. And this is what the new news engine looks like, or new news screen looks like. So it's a lot more like OOTPs, and you've got, instead of 4 or 5 headlines, you got 20 or 30 of them. And I think that's, oh, the other thing, before I forget, the other thing I wanted to show you, the other new thing in historical is you can see the career stats, which is, we've actually got a bug right now with the minutes played, so ignore that. But like OOTP, we can also show you the real stats now. So you can see Dryden's whole career minus the minutes played error there and the screwed up goals against average because of it. But you can see all the way out to 76 or 78, 79 when he retired. So if you want to cheat a little, you're in a historic draft, and you want to see how the guy actually turned out, you can flip to that tab. And not that anyone would ever do that, right?
Not at all. But I
Of
mean,
course
Ken
not.
Dryden retired to become a full-time lawyer.
Yeah, well, he did that 70. He skipped 73, 74 to do that, and yeah, then retired to be a lawyer and politician. And what was he minister of?
I don't
You
even
remember
know.
this?
Was it sport? I think he was minister of sport.
Heritage National Sport, something like that. Yeah.
Let me do a quick Googling.
But while you're doing that, I will load up the next thing I want to show. Which is a modern game with my Canucks. One thing I should mention here, when you're setting up a historical game, it takes slightly longer to generate now because we've got to do that. We're creating the real stat history. So if you get a little
Minister
delay when you're setting up it, when you're starting a historical game that wasn't there before, that's what it is. It may take you a minute or so to get longer into the game.
Minister of Social Development.
I thought he had sport for a while. Maybe not.
Apparently.
Okay, so it's just a game where I've taken over the Canucks at the start of the season. There you can see the new news screen, and the thing, the other new thing about this, you can see when when you have to respond to something. Sometimes you would get the error message when you tried to continue, and it would tell you that it was waiting for you to respond to an email. Well, now you can go into the news screen and just look for the blue exclamation point. We don't have any here, but makes it a lot easier to find those now. Now, what was I going to show you in here? Obviously, still got all the international tournaments in. There was something I wanted to show you at the start of this. What was it now? Oh, scouting. That's right.
FM fan 000 in the chat says, as far as the NHL goes, can you do stuff like rookie tournaments before the main camp begins?
Not yet. I've had a sort of half completed design that for a couple of years now, and it hasn't made it into the game yet, but still something I want to do.
It's on the docket.
Yes. Okay,
Since we're sticking with
so
lawyer talk,
new scouting screen, Adam's favorite thing.
how can it not be everybody's favorite thing, Jeff?
Yep. So what you can do here is go through. You got 5 maps. Well, 4 maps and one sort of mapless rest of the world thing, just for the miscellaneous countries. But if you want to click on a specific scout, Stan Smeal in this case, tells you what he's going to add to your overall scouting level. If you've got all the scouts unselected, it tells you where your overall scouting is. So you see the Canucks here have a ton of Canadian scouts hired already, and we've got perfect 20 out of 20 coverage all the way through the country. US, see, we could hire a few more guys here. And, if we need somebody on the West Coast. So if we want to find a guy who is based in California, don't see one here. It's actually a little, I think we need to add a few more scouts to this.
Few more scouts, you say?
I'm down, Adam.
BVS90 in the chat says, is it possible to create custom views in the roster screen so we can see stats by default along with star ratings?
Not yet. Yet another thing I've wanted to do for a while, but I think that's something we can just borrow from OOTP relatively easy. Although I'd have to check with Sebastian on that. It may not be as easy as I thought. But you can see there we go. I hired the scout, and now the U.S. scouting has turned to green, and the amounts have ticked up a little bit. And I can also, let's see here, drag somebody up, and I've got a head scout now, and he adds an extra contribution and an advanced scout, which is going to control the effectiveness of, let's see, I think it's Luke Crawford is the real one for the Canucks. He controls the effectiveness of your scouting against the teams that you're playing through the season. And you've got a priorities list here. This controls what effect, basically which players get looked at first. So you've got a watch list here. I've got the watch list set to first. If I had anybody on this watch list, he would be getting, priority screen, because I've got the watch list set to first. He would get looked at first, then prospect, then guys in my own league, etc., etc. And I can move these up and down. Just added the up and down buttons today. It used to be click and drag. And you can specify which areas, overall areas, in terms of, the maps, get the highest priorities. So I could move USA up to a higher one. And then individual regions within each overall region. So let's say if I'm playing in the WHL, I probably want Canada on top there. And then I think I can still do click and drag. I'd move the Western teams up to the top of the Canadian regional list, so I'd be looking at the Western players first. And watch list, this isn't the same as the what was it? I can't remember. What do we call it? Short list. Not the same as the short list. It's a separate entry. You can see down here on the right-click menu. So if I add somebody to the watch list, in this case, it's my own player, which doesn't make a lot of sense. But he's on there now, and he'd get first scouting priority. But it wouldn't really do anything because he's already scouted to A level because he's on my team. Other new thing about scouting, trying to get the pop-up menu there, is that I hope this shows up in the screen. Sometimes the pop-ups don't come through the stream. Yeah, it does. Okay. And the lowercase letter will tell you how likely the guy is to reach his potential. So A is extremely likely, E is a long shot, and this is Julevi. He's right in the middle, probably not as good as he was a couple of years ago. And the overall consensus around the league is that he's got 3-star potential. We think he's only got 2-star, and has a half and half chance, 50-50 chance of actually getting to that. So realistically, he's maybe going to wind up at about 2 stars. Lousy for a first-round pick.
Like there's never been bad first-round picks.
Particularly by the Canucks. Okay, that covers the scouting. What else we got here? The draft. Oh, and I've got another game save. I want to show you the draft screen in. Let's see, let me continue the. Actually, no, I'll show that on the other save. That would make more sense. But started the season there, and you can see I've got the simulation option on. If I'd had the 2D option on for the sim games, it would take quite a while longer to get through. Oh, I know what I was going to show here. Interrupt that. Got a couple of new filters here. There is on the stat screen, there's a filter now that you can use. Didn't have that before. It's just like the one on the player screen. And there's also a team search menu now. So if you find some team you've never heard of before, if you want to know what a particular team is called in the game, if if you see it on Elite Prospects, our team names don't always match theirs, you can look it up in here. So I want to look up Red Army, CSKA Moscow. There it is. And it gives me all the other teams with that name. We've got a few other things. Actually, whoops, I missed that in historical. Let me just jump back to that 72 save. So I can show you that. And what I was going to show you here is if I enable historical league editing, where you can control whether and when the leagues expand and what the league rules are and so on. We had that last year, but it was really inflexible because as soon as you turned it on, you were stuck with whatever settings you had at the point you turned it on. You could expand, you could change things, but if you say had what was something that we couldn't change last year? Oh, draft length. If you had the if you turned this on at the very beginning of the game, say 1917, you'd be stuck with a 2-round draft all the way through. Instead of doing that, now you've got all these different settings. You can, once you've enabled historical league editing, I can turn all of these on and off. If I don't want teams to disappear when they did historically, if I want to keep the Cleveland Barons around, I can unclick that. If I don't want expansion teams, I can click off new teams appear when they did historically. If I don't want the WHA to die, I can click that off, and so on and so on and so on.
Who could possibly want the WHA to die?
Yeah, lots of fun keeping them around. And I think this is the one other save I wanted to show you. And then we can probably take a few questions. Or do we have any more in the chat, Adam? I'm looking at a separate screen here. I can't see everything in chat.
Yeah, we got a few more. One was about scouting. It said, does it work the same for major juniors like the CHL?
Yeah, pretty much the same.
Although you won't be worried about scouting as much as the whole world.
Well, you still want your guys for the import draft. Okay, and this is for Adam. I've got the Jets just heading into the 2021 entry draft. So what I can do here, let me just make sure I'm not going to skip over it. Yeah, whoops, I do not disturb mode on. That's not good.
While it's loading, here's a question from CS High 312. He says, is there any new historical challenges?
Not yet. I think I'm probably going to put them in one of the updates. I think we did that a couple of years ago, too, and we'll do the same thing this year.
Yes. Adam does have some ideas, though, and would also
just haven't had time for it yet.
Yes. And which reminds me, Jeff, I got something else I need to pitch you about that, too.
Okay. When I continue here, let me just show you this. If I haven't skipped over it, I hope I didn't skip over it. Going to take a second because we're at the start of a new year and there's a lot going on with free agency and whatnot at the beginning of July. I'm hoping this gives us the new draft lottery screen. Blaze HG just asked, perfect timing.
Yeah, Liam's Lad just asked, is the Kraken expansion, well, he says on the game, but I think he means in the game, or is it optional? Looking forward to playing FHM 7.
Day before the draft, because here we are right here, and this is what it looks like now. And you can see the other thing here, the continue button has changed to tell us what's going on. So let's see. The Jets finished high enough up, so we're not a lottery pick, unfortunately. But we can just basically do it the same style as the real lottery. Dallas gets their expected pick. Wings, Panthers, everything's going to form so far. Bruins dropped down a couple of places, so New Jersey's moving up. New Jersey potentially moving way up. Way, way up. Richard's got to love this. Is Jersey going to get the number one pick overall from the ninth highest draft weighting? No, they get number two. And Anaheim gets number one. And continue on that.
And Rich shows up in chat just for that, saying it's rigged against New Jersey. Liam, the question about the Kraken expansion is the Kraken asset stuff is in game, but it's currently not automatically set because we don't know how the seasons are going to look quite yet. It's possible it gets added in a later update, but you will still be able to manually add it as well.
Yep.
In commissioner mode. So actually, the more
Which
surprising
would make
thing
it
there,
optional too. Yeah.
yes,
What were you going to say?
the more surprising thing about the draft lottery is Edmonton only finished third. Looking at that,
Yeah, they should have won that. Something broke. Okay, so this is a new draft screen. It looks fairly similar to the old one, but we've got a few new things here. Mock draft, first of all, gives you an idea of the way the game is expected to go. So Owen Power, as expected, we're probably going to be going to Anaheim, and the Devils get another Luke Hughes this time, and Brant Clark number 3. So that's how it's supposed to go. And where are we drafting? Wow, 29th. They must have had a good year. And we've only got first, second, and a fourth. They must have traded a bunch of them. But let me pick until it gets up to me. How'd the first 3 go? Oh, switched it up. Anaheim takes Hughes. Devils go for Poltapov, the Russian. And Owen Power makes it down to third. So effectively, Edmonton gets the best player in the draft anyhow, even when they don't win the lottery. But what I can do now, if I want to see what the scout thinks I should do, it'll give me the list of players, sort of a baseline list, not really leaning one way or another, of who it should take next. So it's saying Liesel, Sweden is the top pick. Now I can also check safe selections. That's going to deprioritize guys who may be a little more questionable about whether or not they reach their full potential. Pretty much the same list though, and a risky suggestions, which does the opposite, bumps up guys who may not be as likely to reach it. And because I've just taken over Winnipeg, I haven't done any scouting here. Everybody's scouted to an E level. But presumably, if I'd been running scouting all season, it would have had proper scouting there. And this pretty much works the same as before. Take Lucille. And can just let the CPU finish the whole draft. And there's a new news item here I want you to see at the end of this. You get an entry draft review, and it'll give you, it'll tell you who they think had the best draft. And in this case, despite only having 3 picks, the press has decided that we've had one of the better drafts. And
we're special.
Along with Colorado and San Jose and LA, the Islanders. So, and the Devils apparently had one of the worst ones. So they shouldn't have taken that Russian with the second overall. Let's see, what else do I have to show you in there? not quite as obvious, but you can see there's a few new things now that are editable on the player screen that weren't before. I think we've added some. I think entry level is new. I can't remember if we had that on there or not. But similar to what we had before, the attribute screen, the new development rate attribute, which controls how fast the guys' ratings improve, is in there now. You can change that if you want. Let's see what else. What else? Export the CSV export has a few new things this year. Don't have time to get into a multiplayer game to show you anything there, unfortunately. Oh, one small thing you can do. If, say, I'm constantly getting trade offers from Anaheim for Cam Fowler and I don't want them, I can now go into trade options and set him to not interested. And he gets that little NI flag, and Anaheim will never again offer him to me. And similarly, if I go into my own roster, if I don't want to ever give away Mark Scheifele, trade options, and set to untouchable. So nobody will make me an offer for Scheifele anymore. And I'll just leave it there so Adam can enjoy Connor Hellebuck's nice 4.5 star rating this year.
Excellent. CS High
chat questions?
Yeah, CS High 312 in the chat says, is Rem debut still in the game?
Oh yeah, still there, and we've got a couple of things built in for historical. So the international games will still work when you have random debut on, but there's a couple of safety checks in there to make sure teams have enough players to play in them. Because I mean, there's only probably maybe 20, 30 Belgian players in the whole historical database, and they normally only go into that one tournament they're in, or is it two in the early 1920s. So we generate some extra players for them so they can play properly, so they can play those games.
Sizzling Popcorn in the chat asks, can you create a custom Junior A level in Canada?
Yep, let's make that the last thing we show you guys here. New custom game. So, oops, it's going to save. Actually, no, that's not the last thing I'll show you. I got one more for that. So this is the new Start a Custom Game screen. We changed that to the way it was last year. The NHL, these three options are pretty much what they used to be. Adds real NHL, and AHL, or the real NHL, AHL, and the three Canadian junior leagues. But you've also got this option at the top. And Fictional League. So the first one has to be a major league, that's right. That's why I can't change it. Let me add this one to begin with. So I'm just going to do a very NHL-like league to start with. And it'll create all of that, give me the random team names. And that's pretty much as it was before. But now when we get to the end of it, add league. I can add another league to it. And I get these other options now. So a farm league, which I'd probably want to associate with the NHL. I can set up another major league, which is treated as a top level league like the NHL is, or a junior league. And let's say I do it for a junior league. I could connect the hockey league, the NHL in this save, to that, and the junior league will produce players for that league's draft. And I can also change things here that you weren't able to before. I can change the league value. There's a explanation here of what the league values are over on that side. But if I wanted to make it, near compared to the NHL, I could crank it up to like 0.98 or even all the way up to 1. So it's the equivalent to the NHL. Or I can take it all the way down to 0.01, but that's probably not really a functional league. I mentioned over here that you shouldn't go below 0.3.
Oh, that would be pretty low.
But I'll just do this. Set up as farm league, and we've still got the old custom options, so I can set up as many teams as I want in this league. Let's say I want 6 teams, no conferences, divisions. It's a junior league that feeds into the NHL. Where should we base this?
Mexico, right? That's the most obvious hockey powerhouse.
So I kill the region, select nation, Mexico. And there we go. There's our Mexican Junior League. And note here that you can change the starting nationalities on a league by league basis. So if you want to have, oh yeah, okay, it does give us the right one. So we'll have primarily Mexican players here, and same thing on the other one.
Sizzling Popcorn says, but if you wanted like Junior A League, where's the several leagues under one? Well, you'd probably want to set it up as a smaller part of the.
Yeah, I'd set that up as one big league with multiple conferences,
But
and then set your schedule so you've got no interconference games.
but it needs to be less than the WHLQ OHL equivalent.
And there we
And
go.
there's
There's
some
our
awesome team names, by the way.
new league set up. And thank you to Adam, who's went through and corrected a bunch of these logos we borrowed from OTP to take all the baseball stuff out of them. And there's our Mexican teams with. Oh, looks like we might have a bug there. I didn't set the Mexican players properly. I got to see why it's not doing that. Should have been all Mexicans. But okay, yeah, that's the new fictional mode. And the other thing you can do this year that you weren't able to before. Actually, wait, I'll go back into the game for that. When I want to exit the game, I got this option. Don't save. You're not forced to save the game anymore. So if you want to cheat a little bit and reload multiple times, click on that. Boom, you're back out. Enjoy the lovely picture of 19 Kelowna in 1930 there for a second. Fire that up again. Whoops, put it on the wrong screen. Back into FHU. And there we go. And you can see from the build number this year, I think the build number we released in last year was somewhere in the 30s or 40s. We're up to 95 already on this one. So we've been doing a lot here.
It's been a lot of work, and if you haven't checked out our initial reveal, um, it's up on YouTube from last week. It's about 40 minutes long, where Jeff, Rich, and I go into give a little bit more broad strokes, but talk about a few different things as well, which includes. Yeah, but it's on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/OOTP Developments. And of course, if you haven't seen the trailer for I Haven't Seen Everything in Action, that's also available on our YouTube channel, as well as our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/franchise hockey manager, and our Twitter, which is @franchise hockey.
Oh, I just noticed a question here, Liam. That's how you turn the UK into a powerhouse. That I should mention there's actually a new feature that will, depending on how your national team is performing in the standard game, it will improve the quality of players from that country. So the UK actually does, or well, the Great Britain national team tends to get better over time.
Jeff and I also chatted with Rich on this past week's OOTP Now. If you haven't listened to that as well, you can jump on and hear that. Jeff, there has been a question in the chat as well about the import photo feature.
Still not sure on that. We have to do the fast spring build by the end of this week. I'll let you know when we've got an answer on that one. I'm not sure if that's fixed or not.
Okay, so Stanley Cup Chaser, I know you're on the forum, so pay attention there, okay?
And just final word on the rosters. Obviously, nobody knows what's going on with the NHL at this point. We got some more news today, but by the time we have a schedule and everything, it's going to be way past the point where we can include that in the release. So the what you'll get at the start of the game is going to be a sort of what if season. If everything had started more or less on time when it normally would in August, September, October, depending on your league.
And talking about that as well for scheduling, one of the things added this past year was, in fact, the ability to import your own schedules.
Oh, double rebound goal by Kane.
Oh, that's a very Patrick Kane goal.
Yeah, and yeah, you can edit your own schedule. A few people have been asking that for a while. And as for the when we finally get a know what's officially going on with the NHL and the AHL and probably the juniors and a few other leagues as well. Once we know all of that, we'll release an alternate start and an update where if for some reason you really want to play that 56 game schedule and all the other weirdness that's going to go on this year, you'll be able to do that. But I think we're pretty much finished, Adam. Anything else we need to cover?
No, I think we'll probably have more questions. If you do, by all means, please come on down to our official forums, which is ootpdevelopments.com. Click on the community button in the top right-hand corner, which will bring you to the new FHM7 forums, and you'll start seeing more stuff go live in the next 6 days because, Jeff, we release in a week. It's been crazy. Yep. You can pre-order the game right now for the fast spring version, or you can wishlist us on Steam, and you'll be able to purchase the game on Wednesday, December 16th.
Morning of 16th?
Yes, you will get the 10% off discount, which currently FastSpring users get as well, as part of the launch window on Steam as well.
And because we're going to be releasing into the Steam Winter Sale too, which I officially can't mention that, but I think everybody knows it's going to happen, the 10% off will last longer than what normally would.
Yeah, CS High 312 says official FHM7 stream next week. Well, it's an official stream right now to CSI. But for that matter,
post-release stream.
Yes, Jeff and I have started tossing out ideas of what our streams could look like. And if you have any suggestions, if you want to throw them up on our forums or hit me up on Facebook or on Twitter, I'll listen. I have some ideas brewing in my mind, but I'm always open to other suggestions. And I think Jeff probably is too.
Yep.
But
so thanks everybody for coming out. And anything else we need to do, Adam?
No, I think I've kind of wrapped up most of the things, but I'll just go over it again really quick here. Right at the end. So again, we release December 16th. Links are available for the wish list and buying it on our website. You can find them on facebook.com/franchise hockey manager, on Twitter @franchise hockey. You can also find the link to our official Discord, which is in our Twitter bio as well. Other than that, I think we've pretty much capped everything else. We are both really, really, really excited about the things to come.
And really, really tired.
Yes. I know Jeff has been working very crazily to make sure.
And speaking of which, I got to get back to that. So thanks everybody for coming out. And if you're watching us on Steam, I should mention we were streaming to both Steam. Did that work, Adam?
It did. It
did. Okay. So we were on Steam as well as Twitch. So if you saw us answering questions on one or the other that weren't in the chat, that's where they were coming from. Thanks, everybody, and we will see you back here for the first official post-release FHM7 stream.